Why did McKenzie Scott walk away from the richest man in the world with $38 billion in her pocket? Look at this. A young Jeff Bezos, building Amazon in a garage, his brilliant wife McKenzie by his side. They met at work, married within 6 months, and then she drove the car cross-country while he wrote the business plan that would change the world. It was a love story that created an empire. Now look at this. Their 25-year marriage, destroyed by a handful of secret texts, leaked, sold, and splashed across every tabloid on the planet. That jarring contrast tells the real story. The woman who helped build the empire was erased from the narrative and left in silence, while the man who became its public face thought he could hide his betrayal. One reckless text didn't just expose his betrayal, it detonated the most expensive divorce in history. McKenzie Scott didn't just take her share from Jeff Bezos, she took the $38 billion he paid to make her go away and turned his betrayal into the most expensive revenge story money has ever bought. And it all started with a secret text he was so certain no one would ever see. This isn't just a divorce story. It's a masterclass in loyalty, humiliation, and the stunning power of a woman who refused to be a footnote in her own life story. It's the most expensive lesson in history, and the tuition was paid in betrayal. Before the betrayal, there was a partnership forged in ambition and trust. In 1992, Mackenzie Tuttle, a brilliant Princeton graduate who'd worked under Nobel laureate Toni Morrison, interviewed for a job at the New York hedge fund D.E. Shaw. Her interviewer was a senior vice president, Jeff Bezos. She got the job, and her office was right next to his. She fell for his explosive, booming laugh, and after just 3 months of dating, they were married. A year later, in 1994, Jeff came to her with a wild idea, an everything store that started with books, sold online. It meant quitting their stable, high-paying jobs for an unknown future in Seattle. But Mackenzie was all in. She wasn't just supporting a dream, she was a co-conspirator. She drove their car on the 2,500-mile journey from New York to Seattle, while Jeff sat in the passenger seat, hammering out the business plan. She was literally steering them toward their destiny. In those chaotic garage days, Mackenzie wasn't a silent partner, she was an architect. She was one of Amazon's first employees, deeply involved in everything from brainstorming the company name to managing the books and negotiating its first freight contracts. She was the steady, loyal force helping to build the machine from the inside, the quiet intellectual who shared the vision. Their empire wasn't just built on a foundation of his genius, but on her unwavering belief and pivotal contributions. That loyalty, however, would be repaid with the ultimate public humiliation. As Amazon exploded from a garage startup into a global behemoth, the partnership that built it began to fracture. Jeff Bezos was no longer just a tech CEO, he was transforming into a global icon. He chiseled his physique, walked red carpets, and became a fixture in the high-flying world of Hollywood parties and Washington, D.C. power circles. He bought the Washington Post and launched a space company, Blue Origin, cementing his status as a larger-than-life public titan who thrived in the spotlight. Mackenzie, however, deliberately chose the opposite path. Around 1996, she stepped back from Amazon's daily operations to focus on raising their 4 children and to finally pursue her lifelong passion for writing. While Jeff was becoming a celebrity, she remained fiercely private, dedicating a full decade to crafting her first novel, The Testing of Luther Albright, which would go on to win an American Book Award. She was raising kids and writing novels. He was chasing Hollywood parties and red carpets. The marriage wasn't drifting apart. It was barreling toward humiliation. Their shared dream, once hatched on a cross-country road trip, was splitting into 2 starkly different realities. The bond that had been their greatest asset was stretching to its breaking point. And when the snap finally came, it wasn't quiet and private, it was sold to the highest bidder. The snap came in the form of Lauren Sanchez, a TV anchor who moved in the same elite social circles as the Bezoses. The affair began, and the clock started ticking. Then on January 9, 2019, Jeff and Mackenzie released a carefully worded joint statement announcing their decision to divorce after a trial separation, promising to continue their shared lives as friends. It seemed like a mature, quiet, and amicable end to a 25-year marriage. But just hours later, the real story detonated across the globe. The National Enquirer published a bombshell 11-page exposé. complete with deeply personal and explicit text messages from Jeff to Lauren. Another referenced a below-the-belt selfie. The story was a global humiliation, a portrait of a billionaire's midlife crisis laid bare for the world to see. Imagine being married 25 years, only to see your husband's private texts leaked, mocked, and sold like cheap gossip. For McKenzie, that humiliation cut deeper than the affair itself. The leak was so damaging that Bezos launched his own investigation, convinced he was the target of a political conspiracy or even a foreign government. His team floated theories about Saudi Arabia hacking his phone, but as investigators dug deeper, they uncovered a far more sordid and personal betrayal. The enemy wasn't a foreign state. The enemy was much, much closer to home. While Bezos' team was hunting for international spies, federal prosecutors and his own investigators were zeroing in on a far more mundane culprit, Michael Sanchez, Lauren Sanchez's own brother. Evidence suggested that Lauren had shared Jeff's intimate texts with her brother, Hollywood talent manager with ties to political operatives. Michael then reportedly saw an opportunity for a massive payday. He initiated contact with the National Enquirer and, after negotiations, allegedly sold his sister's private conversations for a staggering $200,000. This payment was unusually high for the tabloid, signaling just how explosive they knew the story would be. For McKenzie, the humiliation was now layered with a sickening new reality. Her husband's affair wasn't just a private infidelity. It had been weaponized and turned into a sleazy, for-profit family business by his mistress's own relatives. Her private pain, the collapse of her 25-year partnership, was now a public commodity, bought and sold for cash. The foundation of trust upon which she had built her entire life had not just been broken, it had been liquidated. In the aftermath of the scandal, the world braced for the messiest and most expensive divorce in history. Jeff and McKenzie had no prenuptial agreement. Under Washington state law, their assets were community property, meaning McKenzie was legally entitled to half of their fortune, a sum that at the time could have exceeded $68 billion. Such a move could have crippled Amazon. A fight over control would have sent shockwaves through the stock market and thrown the company she helped build into chaos. The tabloids salivated, lawyers prepared, and the stage was set for an epic war over the world's largest fortune. But as the chaos swirled, McKenzie did the one thing no one, least of all Jeff Bezos, expected. She refused to fight. She would not let a tabloid scandal define her, and she would not drag the company she co-founded through the mud for public sport. In a stunning act of control and grace, she chose dignified silence. She quietly cashed her betrayal refund and walked away. She was about to execute a strategic masterstroke that would leave everyone speechless. On April 4th, 2019, the settlement was announced, and it was a bombshell of quiet strategy. McKenzie Scott would receive 4% of Amazon stock, a stake worth roughly $38 billion at the time, making her one of the wealthiest women in the world. But the genius was in what she gave up. In a surgically precise statement on Twitter, she announced she was happy to be giving him all of my interests in the Washington Post and Blue Origin, and 75% of our Amazon stock plus voting control of my shares to support his continued contributions with the teams of these incredible companies. No anger, no recriminations, no tell-all interview. With that single elegant move, she did three things. She secured her independence, she protected the company she had helped create, and she completely exited the media circus. She refused to play the role of the scorned wife. She quietly took her betrayal refund and walked away from the spectacle, leaving Jeff Bezos to deal with the public fallout of his actions alone. But this wasn't an exit. It was the beginning of a billionaire takedown unlike any the world had ever seen. Before we reveal how McKenzie Scott turned this staggering fortune into the ultimate act of purposeful revenge, if you're finding this story as powerful as we do, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It helps us bring you the hidden stories behind the biggest headlines. Just 1 month after the divorce was finalized, while the world was still buzzing about the settlement, McKenzie made her next move. She signed the Giving Pledge, a promise made by some of the world's wealthiest individuals to give away the majority of their fortune. But her pledge letter wasn't just a promise, it was a philosophical declaration of war against the very system that had created her wealth, and a direct rebuke to her ex-husband, who had not signed the pledge. Her letter was pointed and powerful. "I have a disproportionate amount of money to share," she wrote. "My approach to philanthropy will continue to be thoughtful. It will take time and effort and care, but I won't wait, and I will keep at it until the safe is empty." Until the safe is empty. That one line was a threat to the status quo of billionaire philanthropy, which often involves parking money in massive foundations that give away only a small fraction each year. McKenzie was signaling a different approach, a philanthropic shockwave. She wasn't just going to give her money away, she was going to do it with urgency, purpose, and a clear-eyed understanding that the wealth itself was the product of a collective effort. The game had changed. What followed was a philanthropic shock and awe campaign. By early 2025, McKenzie Scott had already given away over $19 billion to more than 2,000 organizations. But it's how she gives that serves as the quiet, devastating clapback to Bezos' betrayal. While most mega donors demand their names on buildings, endless reports, and strict control over every dollar, McKenzie does the exact opposite. Her team conducts quiet research to identify effective, community-led groups and then gives them enormous, unrestricted grants with no strings attached. Her entire philosophy is built on a radical principle, trusting others to know what's best for their own communities. The very principle her ex-husband violated so publicly. While Jeff polished his $500 M yacht, McKenzie was emptying her safe, handing billions to strangers she trusted more than him. Nonprofit leaders were stunned, some receiving multi-million-dollar grants out of the blue. This approach allows organizations to stop worrying about fundraising and focus on their actual missions, whether that's building houses, running food banks, or fighting for social justice. She was taking the wealth tainted by a scandal of mistrust and transforming it into a revolutionary force powered by trust. As McKenzie embarked on her unprecedented giving spree, the contrast with her ex-husband's lifestyle became impossible to ignore. While she was quietly erasing billions from her bank account, Jeff Bezos was busy acquiring the monuments of mega wealth. He commissioned a $500 million super yacht, the Kourou, a 417-foot vessel so large it required its own separate 246-foot support yacht. The name Kourou is a Maori symbol for new beginnings. While McKenzie was empowering thousands of grassroots organizations, Jeff was hosting star-studded parties and navigating the logistical headache of potentially dismantling a historic bridge in Rotterdam just to get his massive boat to sea. While her focus was on correcting systemic imbalances, his seemed to be on indulging in the larger-than-life status his fortune afforded him. The split screen was stark, one legacy being written in headlines about record-breaking donations to the underserved, the other in headlines about half-billion-dollar toys and lavish parties. McKenzie wasn't just giving away money. She was crafting a new narrative, proving that the most powerful response to a public betrayal is a world-changing purpose. The story of McKenzie Scott and Jeff Bezos is ultimately a tale of two vastly different legacies. On one side is Jeff Bezos, whose legacy is written in Amazon's soaring towers and Blue Origin's roaring rockets, monuments to relentless ambition and centralized control. He built an empire and in the process became a symbol of modern capitalism. On the other side is McKenzie Scott, the founding partner who was pushed to the background only to be thrust into the spotlight as the humiliated wife in a sordid tabloid circus. But instead of letting that betrayal define her, she weaponized it. She took the settlement, the financial symbol of his disloyalty, and systematically turned it into a revolutionary force for good. Her legacy isn't being built with steel and glass, but with the quiet, transformative impact of thousands of grants fighting to correct the very imbalances of power that men like Bezos often create. The secret text didn't just end her marriage, they unleashed a philanthropist who would deliver the most expensive lesson in loyalty money has ever bought. Bezos built towers and rockets. McKenzie built a legacy that proves betrayal can cost billions, but dignity can change the world. So what are your thoughts? Did McKenzie Scott just teach Jeff Bezos and every other billionaire the most expensive lesson in loyalty ever? Or was it less about revenge and more about her own redemption? Let us know your take in the comments below. And while you're there, be sure to check out our next deep dive, Why Jeff Bezos Stopped Smiling Ever Since He Married Lauren Sanchez. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss our next story.